insect-like, similar to a praying mantis, although 6 foot tall, large. I saw it. I saw it after it had been neutralized by military police personnel. So I didn't see it before that, but after that and after it had escaped, then I was given access because we had another one in captivity. And so I read about that particular species. And during that time period that I'd had access to that particular type of species, because we were concerned that if one escaped, maybe the other one would. And we had to figure out how it escaped. And initially, that investigative power was given to the military police that was guarding the facility. But then there was a lot of questions about whether they had the expertise. So we came in and we brought in some other people, experts in metallurgy and other areas of science, to try to determine how this particular creature got out of the facility, because it was a very, very secure facility with 3 different perimeters and a locking structure that was not supposed to be defeated by anyone.
Right.
But somehow that particular species, the quataloid, got out. So we did go in there. Now, during my time that I was there investigating, and we were allowed into the area, I saw some other ETs. And I saw one that I would call a gray, a small gray looking with large eyes, similar to a picture I saw of EBA 1, who was with us between 1947 and 1952, well before my time. But there were pictures of him in classified documents. And I saw a picture of EBA 1. And that particular one that I saw at that containment facility was, I would compare it to EBA 1, or EBA, the EBANs, the same ones that crashed near Roswell or Corona, New Mexico. Now, that's the only one I saw, but I did have access at some other point, and not during that time period, but some other point, to 5 different species that we either had or had in the past there at Area 51. But there was just limited information on those particular 5 species that I had access to.
Fascinating. A life is escaping ET being. Escaping from a military base must be a very sensitive moment. How can I imagine the emotions going on when that happened?
Well, I was at my office at the cantonment area of Area 51, a Groom Lake complex. OSI, our building number was 435, and we were in that. There was 4 OSI agents assigned to Area 51 during that time period. When that particular species of ET escaped, we were immediately notified by the base police. My boss, the commander of the office, got the first phone call. He immediately told one of the agents who had access to that information about what had happened. He immediately needed assistance. There was only 4 of us in the office. He couldn't go out there by himself, so he then quickly briefed me. Then we had to go to another office next to our building, the Intelligence Operations Center, where I was given more of a briefing and shown a picture of what this particular entity looked like.
Wow.
I didn't have a chance then to really read into it. I thought, my first question was, what's its capability? Did it have some sort of a advanced ability to defend itself? Did it have a weapon system within its body? The strength of it? All these things were going to my head because I had no idea that we had these type of species of ETs there.
Right.
So
did it?
It did. It did have some unique abilities that I found out later. Well, one of the problems for it, the quataloid, was that it there was too much oxygen in our atmosphere for it to breathe. So it was inside a containment area or cell that had less oxygen than a 21 or 22% we would breathe. It required something to the neighborhood of 15 to 18% in order for it to survive. So if it got outside, it would have to have, and I don't know exactly how this worked, but an oxygen depressor, something that it would have to put on its beak, so to speak, because it was a praying mantis, so to speak. So someone, I guess, we must have manufactured something, or maybe it had its own. It had to have one of those when it escaped. Well, it's smart enough to realize it took it with him. So now it was able to function in our atmosphere, which is somewhat scary. So we only had probably 15 to 20 minutes to be briefed.
Right.
And then we went out. Now, we weren't there to catch him because they had detainment teams of people that had been trained, some military police, some scientists, some that have worked inside that facility. So they're the ones that actually went out to capture it. We went out there to protect. Now, we were armed. We had weapons. And another question I had was, is the .45 caliber weapon that I'm carrying, that bullet, is that capable of killing it, or will it harm it in any way? One of the scientists told us, not there in the Intelligence Operations Center, but out in the field while we were driving out to where we think it was going, yes, but you'd have to shoot it in its head.
Wow.
The body might just absorb it, because there was never any tests done. They never went out and shot one.
Right.
But he thinks the brain functioning of the entity, if it was disabled, it would kill it, or it would disable it to a point where they could capture it. We certainly weren't out there to capture it. Myself and my partners, OS agents, we were just out there to cover the tracks if it got outside of the base perimeter. And unfortunately, it got outside. Another thing about this quataloid, it was able to run extremely fast. I mean, we're talking 20 to 30 miles per hour. It was very, very, very fast. And so the containment location was north of Papoose Lake, which is probably in the center of Area 51, and in the center probably of Nellis Test and Training Range, which is about 1,200 square miles. So it got to the northern perimeter. It was going north. We could see by its footprints, its tracks, it was going north. So the teams had to drive quickly to get there to it, and they were certainly far ahead of us. They also launched helicopters and even some planes to try to follow it. So
it was was it night or was it daytime?
No, it was daytime. It was approximately 11 o'clock a.m. in the morning, approximately.
Okay, so it was daytime. You and another team were chasing and hunting a live alien being. What happened then? How did the story resolve?